Welcome to Bet On It. I am Kelly Stewart, and we have a special guest today. Let's bring him in, Marco Claus, and of course, Gianni Corrales. Gianni, we are so honored to be here with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Santa. He better be bringing a lot of gifts. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this now. On the St. Patrick's Day show, I'm definitely getting you a leprechaun costume with all your gold.
Ho, 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 everybody. Kelly, have you been naughty or nice this year?
Santa, I think we all know the answer to that one. It's 2020. That's just going to be my excuse for all of my naughty behavior. Let's kick it off right away with the Christmas Day game. We have the Minnesota Vikings going to New Orleans in a playoff revenge scenario. This one opened 6.5, now is at 7. Our friends over at South Point and at Pinnacle both have 7.5. So that kind of tells me where the bookmakers are leaning. This one's had a little bit of money come in on the under, sitting 51 and a couple 51.5s, coming down from 52.5. Marco Claus, I'm going to let you have the floor since it's the Christmas Day game.
Well, you look at the Minnesota Vikings, Kelly, and they're going to go however Dalvin Cook goes. And you would think that facing the number 2 defense at stopping the run with the Saints, just allowing 3.8, it's not going to go real good for the Minnesota Vikings. Overall, the Saints have the number 3 defense. Now, the last 2 weeks, the Saints have given up some yards and points. But let's take a look at it. 2 weeks ago, they faced Philadelphia. Clearly, they looked right past the Eagles. They were looking ahead to that game against Kansas City. They were facing Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts making his first start. No game film. They didn't know what to expect. And they were surprised by the running game of Jalen Hurts, and they ended up losing that game outright. And then last week, they faced the Kansas City Chiefs. They gave up 2 quick touchdowns. They were down 14-0 in the game, but they battled back to make it a one-possession game and ended up losing by just 3 points. I think they slow down this Minnesota Viking team. And Kelly, you want to talk about, the naughty and nice list? Well, Coach Zimmer's back on the naughty list with Santa Claus. He crapped the bed last week against the Bears, that's for sure. I think this is a low-scoring game. I think the Saints want to get in and get out. They're going to stuff the run against Minnesota. And let's not forget, little payback for the Saints. They lost last year in the playoffs to the same Minnesota Vikings. That was Kirk Cousins, coming out party, so to speak, with the big playoff win, and then they lost the following week in San Francisco. I like the under in this one. I think they want to protect Drew Brees. You're going to see a lot of running from the Saints in this game, and to me, that takes this one under the total.
VR, this is an interesting spot here for the Saints. No Michael Thomas, and personally, I did end up on the Saints last week early. I thought it was going to be Taysom Hill, and when I found out it was Drew Brees, I said, God, I don't like my bet. When it hit 2.5, I did put the Saints in a teaser. Game lands 3. What are your thoughts, A, on Drew Brees being under center versus Taysom Hill, and obviously being without one of their best weapons here? I kind of lean towards the dog here in the Vikings. The Vikings tend to beat those teams that they're not supposed to beat, and then they play like crap against teams like the Bears, the Jaguars, and so forth.
Yeah, I'm going to give a side for the pick right now. And the reason I did that is because I am going to actually use this game as a premium for my subscribers, but I'm going to use it in a teaser. But it's the Christmas time, and please be patient with me. I'm going to share as much gold as possible for you guys through these next couple days. So I'll pass along as much information as I can. And for the teaser segment, I already have a teaser that I released to subscribers that I also want to give to you that are watching the show. So I want to give as much as possible. And I will be using New Orleans as a premium teaser. Just haven't decided who I'm going to hook them up with, because I would even go as far as saying at minus 6.5, at less than 7, I think they may even be positive EV in this spot. I really do, because I do think you're getting value with the Drew Brees situation. Prior to last week, heading into it, I thought this: without Drew Brees, I'm going to bet New Orleans, because if Drew Brees comes back, the market's going to overreact. They're going to think it's a huge upgrade. And what we've seen is that may not be the case. We don't know how Drew Brees is going to perform in 2020. After coming back, we're actually going to grade it on his career, and the market will probably overreact. But that didn't happen at all with the market, and I was way off. So I said that's the only reason I actually ended up being on the New Orleans side on Sunday. Luckily, I got a good number, and it didn't burn me when it came off that 3 late. But I do think there's even more value coming off that game because Drew Brees didn't look that great, meaning if he went out there and lit it up, it would have been an overvalued Saint team we're looking at right now. Bottom line is this, for the Minnesota side, yes, they have a decent offense. 5th in yards per play, right around there, that's awesome. But if you can't stop anybody, you're not going to win football games. That's been their problem. And now you're going against a Saints team that actually plays defense. In fact, they are 3rd in defensive yards per point, allowing less than 5, 4.9. Only teams better, Rams and Steelers. So again, I just think there's so many advantages on this New Orleans team, and coming off that loss, I really like them to win this game at home. If I had to bet at -110, gun to my head, I'd lay the points as well. But fortunately, I don't have to. I do think this increases my odds of cashing to that 75% range that we need for a teaser to be positive. I do think Saints win this game 3 out of 4 times at home, if not a little more than that, 4 out of 5 times. Give me an edge. So I like the Saints here, but again, I'm going to use them in a teaser as a premium play with subscribers. Just haven't exactly figured out which other team I'm going to hook them up with.
That's great advice, VR. I just put the Saints into an open teaser, and I'll figure out another leg. Maybe I'll wait till Sunday morning. Sometimes we see that those lines drop below those key numbers at that time. Those are kind of where I've been doing all season long. I think that's great advice because I don't think I can get to the window with Coach Zimmer and the Vikings, even though I lean that way. I'm going to stick with you here. We do have 3 Saturday games, which is a real treat, but we're only talking the primetime game. That's right. The Miami Dolphins at the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, this one's really interesting because Las Vegas was a 1.5-point favorite. Now Miami -3. Now pretty much 3 flat. So you got to lay 120 if you want to get the 3 with the Raiders. Total 47 has now ticked up to 47.5. VR, I don't know what to make of this Raiders team. That's just, to be honest with you, when it was 2.5, I put the Raiders in a teaser. Now that it's up to 3, I'm not loving it. This is a Raiders defense that has just been on a roller coaster ride for a better part of the season, where I feel like the Miami Dolphins look almost too easy here. Why? Because they're playing good football with Tua under center. If something was to happen to Tua, we know they have a great backup. This is just kind of one of those teams that I don't know if I want to step in front of right now.
No, I agree with you, Kelly. I think here's the problem with the Raiders. They're a little below mediocre right now. I don't even believe they're as good as their record, 7-7. At least this year, they haven't played. Maybe the personnel is better. Maybe they had the potential to be better, but I don't think they've played better. But that doesn't mean we don't bet the Raiders in spots. The problem has been if you bet the Raiders as a favorite. That's not a spot you want to be betting this Raiders team because, again, they don't play defense. They don't have defense, but they do have an offense. And if you're getting points, they're capable. Remember last week, that's how, we got on a few teams because of the fact, with Carolina and Green Bay on Saturday. It's that back door I thought would stay open, and Carolina is capable of putting up points. That's what I think you're looking at with the Raiders. And listen, here's what I do like. I gave a premium play on the over. I'll tell you that right now. I gave over 47 already. I thought that line was just way too low. I thought this should be closer to that 50 range. Again, you're looking at the Raiders. 3 of their last 4 games, the total was 52.5 or higher. No, I'm sorry. That's 4 of the last 5 games. The total was 52.5 or higher. And it's not like Miami's not capable of putting up some points themselves. And this is against a Raiders defense, which will be here in Vegas, indoors, no weather problems. And you look on the flip side of that, Raiders, you look under the quarterback and it says questionable. What does that mean? That means we're probably not going to get Carr and we're going to get Mariota. If that's the case, I don't think that's a negative. Again, I think the market's already baked that into the cake. That's why the total's as low as it was. I thought it should have came out a lot higher. We're not looking at defensive juggernauts here. So for me, I think the bet to make is the over. I've already made it at 47. I think there's still value at 47.5 because the Raiders are going to put up points. That's the one thing you could get from this team, no matter who's at quarterback. And Miami, although they only give up 18 points a game, the best in NFL, what have I been saying since the beginning of the year? The perfect storm for overs when you get good defenses because the market is shaded towards that bias. And good defenses get turnovers. Good defenses create short fields, and that creates points. I'll go over 47 on Saturday or whatever day that is.
That is exactly what you said about the Monday night game, as well as one of the other games last week. You said, look, there's an overreaction to these two good defenses. I'm with you on the over here, VR. Marco Claus, this is a tough one for me. I look at this Raiders team as if what VR said, basically along the lines of they're not as good as their record states. I bet their season win total under 7.5. I think I might have to hedge it here just because I do think they'll probably beat the Broncos next week. But the Dolphins, 0-9 straight up and against the spread after they face New England. I know we have a new head coach or newer head coach. Not all of those belong to him. And I know that we have a newer quarterback. So none of those belong to Tua. Well, maybe one of those belongs to Tua. Sorry, I should have double checked that. But either way, those kind of stats make you kind of think, hey, we know that was a tough game against the Patriots. Yes, Bill Belichick kind of screwed it up in the end. Thank you for ruining my teasers, Bill. But that being said, Marco, where are you leaning in this Saturday night game?
Well, Kelly, this is a game that, obviously is prime time. And it's prime time here in Las Vegas with the Raiders. So we know what is going to happen at the windows. Everybody's going to bet the over. It's prime time. You automatically bet the over. Nobody wants to bet an under and watch a boring game. Because it is the Raiders, you can talk to all the bookmakers in town. All they get is over money. And why not? Because the Raiders have been going over all year long. It's not often that Marco disagrees with VR, but Santa as well is disagreeing here. And something just absolutely smells with this line. I agree with the one thing that VR said is this line looks too low. It does. Why is it only 47.5? You look at the Raiders games. In the last 11 games, the total on the Raiders have been 50 or higher in all but 2 games. The 2 games that it wasn't over 50, the total, one was at Cleveland when they played in that windstorm. Nobody could throw the football, so that total come crashing down on game day. And the other one was the Jets game, who's pathetic and hadn't been scoring points. Every other total has been over 50. And Vegas knows that they're going to get one-sided betting in this game, and it's going to be on the over. So why did they make it 47.5? This could almost be a trap game, the way I look at things, because they're begging you to take the over, in my opinion. Let's not forget something. The Raiders fired their defensive coordinator before last week's game. Yes, he probably did deserve to be fired, but I questioned them doing it on that week because they were playing in 4 days. What could you possibly change in 4 days with a new defensive coordinator? But now they got through that game. They almost won the game. It was decided in overtime. They lost when they scored a field goal and the other team scored a touchdown, which, if you remember in that game, when they finished regulation, it was an under. So there was some improvement in 4 days. Now you're going to get 9 days for him to tinker with this defense. I think we're going to see some more benefits from the new defensive coordinator, Rod Marinelli. Also, whether it's Carr or it's Mariota, you're going to see more running out of the Raiders in this game to try to shorten the game and protect that defense. And if it's Carr, he's not going to be 100%, so he's not going to be mobile. So, again, that leads to trying to run the football more. And with, Mariota, part of his game plan is running the football. That's going to chew clock. And if you look at Miami, they're not a team that has scored a ton of points this year. Miami likes to play ball control. They've only scored more than 24 points once in the last 5 games. Like I said, I don't like, bucking my buddy here on the show, but on this one, I'm going to go with the under 47.5 for my play in primetime.
All right, Marco Claus, I'm going to stick with you here. The Sunday primetime game is the Tennessee Titans at the Green Bay Packers. A little bit of playoff implications here as far as home field advantage goes. This one is now down to 3 minus 120 with our friends over Circa Open. Green Bay -4. There's some 3.5s across the board. Total 56 and one lowly 55.5 over at the Westgate. Your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans at the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night?
Well, Kelly, you look at the Green Bay Packers, and we talked about it last week whenever we talked about them being on primetime Sunday night or Saturday night last week. You're never going to get line value with Green Bay. But this week, you're actually seeing some money coming in on Tennessee. And why is that? Well, Tennessee scores a lot of points. Tennessee can run the football. And we know the narrative on the Packers with that defense is they are susceptible to teams that can run the football. Too often, teams fall behind and have to abandon the running game. And a lot of people are figuring that's not going to happen with this Tennessee offense, that they'll be able to stay in the game. They're also going to look at the fact that in the last several weeks, we've seen a growing pattern with the Green Bay Packers. They storm out to big leads, and then it's like they go to sleep. 2 weeks ago, they had a big lead on Detroit, had to hold on for a 7-point win, no cover. Last week, they stormed out to a 21-3 lead over Carolina and then went to sleep in the second half, held on for a 24-16 win, failing to cover the spread once again. So where am I going to go with this one? Am I going to look at Tennessee and take the points with the dog? No, because if you look at that Tennessee defense, man, does it leave a lot to be desired. This team gives up a ton of points, and just think what Aaron Rodgers will be able to do against that defense. So I'm going to look at a first half wager, and that first half wager is going to be on the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to lay the 2.5. As I said, we've seen a history of them jumping out to big leads and then going to sleep. Well, let's look at Tennessee. They have a little bit of a pattern too. They have fallen behind in several games this year and then rallied to make it a close game late. Remember the Pittsburgh game early in the season? They were getting blown out early, rallied, had an opportunity to tie the game at the end and missed a field goal. Then the Cleveland game, they spotted Cleveland, a huge lead in that game, and then come roaring back to make it a 6-point game at the end. One of the reasons for that is Derrick Henry as a running back gets better as the game goes on. When you have to tackle him for a full game, when you get to the third and fourth quarter, man, you're tired of trying to bring him down. And those plays that in the first half might have been good for 4.5, 5 yards, 6 yards, all of a sudden are, 10 and 12 yard chunk plays. And that's why Tennessee's running game gets better as the game goes on. And let's face the fact too, Ryan Tannehill, he's going to go up against Aaron Rodgers. Going to be a little bit of nerves, in a spotlight game at Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers gets off to the quick start like he normally does. I'll take Green Bay first half. I'll lay the 2.5. Give me Rodgers over Tannehill. Just win by a field goal first half. I think they can get the job done.
I like that one, Marco Claus. I may have to join you. All right, VR, your thoughts on the Sunday night game. Did you give out any gold? Do you have any leans? Did you make a premium play?
Nah, that's why I'll be quick. Don't want to waste anyone's time. I don't have anything on this game. We have to fill out one of the boxes for a pick, so I just put Green Bay in there. I could end up on the other side on Sunday, so please don't let me be the reason you place a bet on this game. I just thought Green Bay at home, I thought it's a good spot for them. I think Tennessee comes in a little bit overvalued, but again, unless I get any kind of sharp group comes in to give me a reason to bet this game, I think the line's where it is. I'm probably not going to have anything to do with it. Instead, let me just say this. First, I appreciate all the DMs. I just don't have time to respond, man. I can't reply to everyone, so I just mostly don't reply to anyone, but I do. I appreciate them. As a PSA for this week, stop doing this because I keep seeing it and I'm going to keep harping on it. We won't talk about, bet sizing, but we're going to face real quickly. Don't buy points. Stop buying points unless it's on a key number. And it's like NFL or college football for certain reasons, or the line's at a minus 115 at a lot of the market, and the half point is at a discount. But most aren't doing that advanced 3D chess shit anyway. So don't be buying points. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing guys that are missing lines coming in and buying 2 points. Like a line will go from minus 6.5 to minus 8.5, and then they'll come in and take that team A at minus 8.5 and lay minus 150 more, and thinking, oh, now I have minus 6.5. I don't have minus 8.5. Please stop and ask yourself what exactly that means. Because at minus 8.5, minus 110, that simply means you're betting that there's a 53% chance that they could cover that number. By you buying 2 points and bringing it down to 6.5, you're saying, well, there's not a 53% chance they'll cover 8.5, but there's a 60% chance they'll cover 6.5. What are you talking about? Like, where, in what world does that even make sense to do something like that? So please, most out there are very sharp and reasonable people, much even smarter than myself. But I think we don't stop and ask what we're actually doing, and we just do it. It looks good. Hey, I'm not laying 8.5, I'm laying 6.5. Even though I'm paying minus 150, what does that minus 150 mean now? What did that minus 6.5 cost me? So again, please, unless you're only buying a half point and it's around that key number and it's for good reasons, like points at a premium, stop buying points. And that's my pick for Sunday night.
Good PSA, VR. I feel like you were talking to a couple of my guy friends. Maybe I'll have our producer clip that one out and I'll just send it directly to their inbox. When we come back, I don't either. We all know I'm risk adverse, so laying a ton of juice. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go inside those Westgate numbers as well as our teaser segment.
Every Monday at WagerTalk.com, all plays are just $9. This even includes top-rated 5% plays, which normally sell for $40. There's no better day to get winning picks than $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com and our sister site, SportsMemo.com.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from all of us at WagerTalk, Sports Memo, and The Gold Sheet. The Gold Sheet is now in its second season under the WagerTalk Media umbrella, and we have a special holiday gift for all. The iconic Gold Sheet set the standard as the first major football newsletter back in 1957 and is now resetting the standard for a basketball newsletter. Join us at goldsheet.com this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for 3 free days of basketball. No special codes needed. Just go to goldsheet.com and experience the new and always improving Gold Sheet basketball newsletter.
Welcome back to Bet On It. One of my favorite segments is going inside those Westgate look-ahead lines. I think we can find some really good information on why some of the lines moved, or maybe they're just not quite justified. A good spot to find some value. Marco Claus, starting with you. Tampa Bay at Detroit. Tampa Bay opened minus 7.5, now is up to 9.5. Is this just a teaser protection?
Absolutely, Kelly. They're going to get one-sided on Tampa Bay like they did last week. And, man, for a good part of that game, including Santa here, we were worried about it whenever Tampa fell way behind in that game and rallied for a big second half. And it'll be even more so this week, and that's why they had to do the teaser protection, because this is a standalone game at 1 o'clock on Saturday. It's the only NFL game that'll be going at that time. They know they're going to get one-sided wagering. Detroit can't get out of their own way. They got steamrolled again last week. So, yeah, the line is moved. Is it justified? Well, it's justified if you want to slow down teasers. That's the only thing I can say. I can't lay the 9.5 and say that is worth the 2 points that it's justified.
All right, VR, San Fran at Arizona. Well, technically, it's San Fran's new stadium as well. Arizona opened -3, now it's -5. Have the Niners just kind of said, okay, we're done with the season? That's what it kind of appeared like last week to me.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you the bottom line. I bet this game. I released it at -4, even laid -115, and it looks like the squarest bet on the board. Sometimes I'm willing to take it. That's where, as I respect Marco a ton, and I've learned so much over the years, that's where we disagree a little bit, where I don't think the odds makers are as good. Vegas is as good as we give them credit for. sometimes they just get it wrong. And that's why they're forced to move these lines or get beat sometimes. I'm not saying this game in particular, but I just think it's a good spot for Arizona, bad spot for San Francisco. And we already know the quarterback situation, the problem San Francisco has there. Who's at quarterback? Beathard? And is it upgrade, downgrade? But more importantly, have they given up on the season? That's the question. What do we know about this week? They sent everyone home. They're not practicing. They're not preparing. Head coach said, listen, go celebrate the holidays and we'll play football at the end of the week. They're not going to the playoffs or anything like that. Sure, they're going to go out there and play the game. I'm not saying they're not going to show up or they can't win, but obviously one team's taking it seriously and has aspirations, and the other team is already letting you know that go home, man. We played this team before. We play them twice a year. We know who they are. Let's just show up and play. I don't know. I want the other team. I want Team A. So I laid the 4. Like I said, it could be the squares on probably 9 out of 10 tickets will be on Arizona. But if that's the case, I think this line will be a lot higher. And I'll have a decent ticket in my pocket, even if it loses. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you out there, but if I have a -4 in my pocket and it closes -8, not saying this game will do that, but if it does, dude, I could live with losing that bet every single day. I've done this long enough to know I'm not going to lose too many of those. You'll lose them on occasion, but if you get a couple points better than the close in NFL, you're going to make a ton of money over the years. And that's always my goal, man. So for me, I just thought at -4 was a good bet. Probably still at -5 because I can't see this going any other way but up. That's just my reasoning.
I'm with you, VR. If this one hit 6, I kind of felt like I was late to the party. I will have the Cardinals in a teaser. Marco Claus, Indy at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a 3-point home favorite. Now they lose to the Bengals on Monday night. Indianapolis pops up as a 1.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Kelly, we saw a similar situation involving the Steelers just a couple weeks ago. They were a 2.5-point road favorite at Buffalo on the open. And then after their game that week, because that was one of those games they played on Tuesday or Wednesday that week, the line took a big jump and Buffalo became the 2.5-point favorite and got the money. Is that going to happen again here? There is no question in the world that the Pittsburgh Steelers cannot possibly look any worse than they looked on Monday night. That was, as a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, I can tell you I was embarrassed watching that game. Poor Chuck Noll was rolling over in his grave watching that performance by the Steelers, and the market is justified in making this move. But is it too much? And I think that it is too much for a certain way that when we get to the next segment, you're going to find out why I think it's too much in a certain way, because we're going to do something with this game because of what the market has done. You never should move a game 4.5 points based on one performance unless your quarterback got hurt or something of that nature. This is just too much of an overreaction to one game.
All right, VR, the Bears are headed to Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars have all but locked up Trevor Lawrence. Chicago opened -3.5, now is -7.5. This is a big time move over that touchdown.
Yeah, listen, I hate to say it because last week I actually bet Jacksonville and it lost. And when I was betting it, I'm like, what are you doing? And I wish my subscribers, hopefully most of them didn't piggyback it. And that's what I always tell you. Like, you could disagree with me and you should disagree with me at times. I'm not psychic. I'm not going to be 100%. Even your premium plays, like that's what I do. I got all this wise guy shit. I go through it. I know they're not going to be 100%. They're not going to even be 70%. They're not even going to be 60% most weeks. So I go through and I try to uncover the gold. Do that with mine. And last week, hopefully you went in there and like, VR, this ain't gold. Jacksonville's shit. And throw them out of that mix. Unfortunately, I bet them. And here's the sad part. When this line gets to 8 or 8.5, like it's probably going to go, I'm probably going to end up having to take Jacksonville again because it won't be justified. It's difficult to bet this team right now because are they motivated? You know, the Trevor Lawrence conspiracy, the fans want Trevor. It's the management does. Do they want to win? Do they want to? I mean, there's all that you have to factor it in. But how? How do you quantify any of that? The most we could do is look at some analytics and some power ratings. And I don't think power ratings reflect that Chicago is that much better than Jacksonville. They just happen to be the flavor of the month right now. They're the sexy pick, the hot team. Hey, I've ridden Chicago throughout. I had Chicago last week myself. I thought it was a great, bet. 3.5, yeah, maybe even at 4, 4.5, 5, 6. But now you're going through a touchdown. That's just way too much. I don't think it's a good bet. Again, if you're doing it for fun, then you may want to bet it. But if you're doing it for profit, you can't tell me now that it's a good bet when it was 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5. What were you waiting for all those times? Even if you conclude they're 10 points better and you want to bet it. Again, am I going to be on Jacksonville? Geez, I hope not. But I think that's the only way you can look now. This line isn't warranted.
All right. Atlanta at Kansas City. Kansas City opened a 12.5-point favorite, now down to 10.5. What gives, Marco Claus?
Well, Kelly, you look at this one, and this is one of the first times that we've seen a line really going against the Kansas City Chiefs. And why? Well, even though they've won how many games in a row, depending when you bet the game last week, you most likely got a push on the game because it sat on 3 most of the week. This is a spot where Kansas City's just not covering the spread. They had 6 games in a row where they won and didn't cover. And the history of the NFL, and Ace can tell us this number off the top of his head. I know it's in the 80%, low 80s, that the team that wins the game covers the spread. Do you know how hard it is to do what the Kansas City Chiefs have done? Keep winning games and not covering the spread. And that's because the market is all over them. But the public is finally starting to get tired of losing their bets. And we're seeing some money come in on Atlanta because Atlanta puts up points. And they saw what they did last week. They had Tampa Bay on the ropes for that entire game and let it slip away. Is this move warranted? Yeah. Right now, Kansas City looks like a team that is just waiting to get to the playoffs. They're doing just enough to win. They get leads, let teams back in the games like we talked about with the Packers. So, yes, the market is starting to adjust. Is it going to adjust enough that maybe it's time to jump in on Kansas City? Well, let's see where this number ends at come Sunday. But that is why you're seeing the money come in on Atlanta.
Makes a lot of sense, Marco. Last but not least, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. Good grief, the NFC East. Philly opened a pick 'em, now is -2. I don't think this is warranted, VR. I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys in a teaser. I know we're going to get to teasers later on, but your thoughts on this one?
I got to agree with you, Kelly. I haven't bet this game. I don't know who's behind that Philadelphia move. I haven't seen it in any accounts. Any guys that I share with that do that move, their groups haven't bet it. So I don't know what this move's for. And I almost thought you would probably see it on the other side. We know home field advantage doesn't matter, but hey, Dallas is playing at home. This is a divisional rivalry. More importantly, they're coming off back-to-back wins where they scored a lot of points, 33 and 41 respectively. Now, maybe they're not getting much credit because it was San Francisco and Cincinnati, and maybe Philadelphia looking good, beating New Orleans as touchdown underdogs, and then putting up points against Arizona. Listen, Arizona got the cover, but Philadelphia was able to score and pretty much go back and forth with them. And I think that, the quarterback situation is why the excitement with Philadelphia. But I agree with you, Kelly. I think I would look to the Dallas side, especially on a teaser against Hurts on the road here.
Yeah, Hurts has done really well for the Philadelphia team early on, but I think in this divisional spot, this is a chance for Dallas to kind of save a little bit of face this year. All right, it is now time for my favorite segment, and that up until, last week, thanks Bill Belichick. But that being said, my favorite segment, the teaser segment.
Oh.
Marco Claus, I'm going to go to you first. Tell me who your teaser is for this week in the NFL.
Well, Kelly, excuse the pun, but we kind of teased it a little bit when we were talking about the overreaction lines. And we're going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers-Indianapolis game. Kelly, the look-ahead line, as we said, was 3 prior to last week's games. When the Sunday night lines came out, Pittsburgh was -2.5, but they hadn't played yet. They played on Monday night. After that, we see this thing roll all the way around to Indianapolis -1.5. Now, Kelly, when you have a 4-point line move, but you're moving through the 0, that's not as big generally as a normal 4-point move. Obviously, if you're moving from 2 to 6, that's a much bigger move than moving from small favorite to small dog, crossing through 0 as far as the value goes for those teams with the points. But looking at this one, Kelly, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at home off an absolute embarrassment on Monday Night Football. Mike Tomlin's got to read the riot act to this team. Now, I've given you all the problems that the Steelers have all year with the injuries and everything else, and we saw that on Monday. They still can't run the football. That's a concern that I don't know that they're going to be able to fix. And Big Ben looked horrible on Monday night. Nothing on his throws. The interceptions he had were horrible. But do we really think Indianapolis is going to go on the road and dominate the Steelers in Heinz Field? By using a teaser, we're getting this through all the key numbers that we want. And remember, before the Monday night game, and we say don't overreact to one game, we're talking about with a teaser, now we're getting 10 points of value. We're going from a 3-point favorite, 2.5, to getting 7.5 points. Gianni would say, I'll live with that. If I lose that bet, I'll live with that all day long, getting the Steelers plus 7.5 at home. And Mike Tomlin, whenever he's been an underdog, at home, he has played well. I look for them to play their best game of the year. I don't know. Well, I don't want to say best game of the year. Let's say the best game in a month. Will that be enough to keep this close? I think so. I got Pittsburgh for the first half. The second half, this is simple. And we'll go conspiracy theory. Unless this game falls on one, and I know you always have fun with John Murray on games, never falling on one, and every time one does, you throw it in his face. Well, I hope you're not throwing this one in his face, because I can tell you if it does fall on one, the books will be very happy. And that is, I'm going to tease the Chicago Bears from 7.5 down to 1.5. We're going to ask them just to win this game. And why? Well, because Jacksonville, you're an idiot if you try to win this game. The Jets gave you Trevor Lawrence gift wrap for Christmas. All you have to do is lose out. 2 games, and you get your franchise quarterback. So if they go in and win this game, play conspiracy theory if you want. They're not going to show up for this game. And all of a sudden, as much as we have bashed Mitchell Trubisky this year, they're 5-2 with him when he has started, Kelly. It hasn't been pretty, but they are 5-2 with him as a starter. And the fact that he regained his job with no pressure now because Nick Foles didn't get the job done. So who are they going to put in if he stinks? He's got job security. He's playing better for it. I'll go ahead and take the Bears to get the job done. And that Jacksonville defense, they're horrible. We still got the Bears defense to dominate the game. I'll take Chicago down to 1.5.
All right, VR. I'm loving Marco's teaser. I'm with him on both of those. I've got a whole list. I had 7 teams that were possible teaser selections this week, so I'm really excited to see where you go with your teaser.
Yeah, and this is a premium teaser. I gave it out, 4% play, follow or fade. It's on you. I agree with Marco, number one, on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he gave all the reasoning. He's the Pittsburgh guy. There's nothing I'm going to tell you about the X's and O's that's going to enlighten you that he won't. The only thing I will add, and I'll take it even a step further and call me crazy, because you know how high I am on Indianapolis, but I think the wrong team's favored. There, I said it. And here's who I'm tied them in with. Again, I released it already, and this is as it gets. VR's going square, baby, on Monday night. That's right. Give me the Buffalo Bills to keep the win streak going and take out the New England Patriots. Listen, this is just a bad spot for New England. Now, I know they're finally returning home. 3 straight road games. Do you know that from November 22nd, 5 straight weeks, 4 of them they played on the road? Since November 1st, they've been on the road 6 times in 7 weeks. That takes 7, 8 weeks. That takes a lot out of a team. They don't have much left, not all that much to play for. And now here comes Buffalo, who, guess what? You get to beat up on older brother who gave you those noogies all those years, who bothered you, picked on you, made fun of you all those years. Guess what? You come home with that jiu-jitsu black belt that you got, and you just put it on a big brother. And that's exactly what I think New England's going to get from Buffalo. They will not get the kind treatment. But the spread becomes the great equalizer, and bookmakers are doing a pretty good job of defending themselves by putting up a pretty high number in what could be some defensive game played there on the New England side. I teased Buffalo. I have him in a teaser, like I said, with Pittsburgh. I'll probably have him in another teaser. Who knows? Maybe that's the one I end up using with the Saints. But I'll probably have a lot of exposure going into Monday night on the square side. And then there I'll decide what to do. Maybe we'll go for a middle. Maybe we'll let it ride. We'll see.
I'm with you on the Bills, VR. They're on my list in teaser spots as well, because I think Bill Belichick told me on Sunday, we're done. We packed it in. We're over it. I can't take any more. So I hope you're right. And the Bills just absolutely cruise along with Marco's Steelers. I'm with you guys on all 4 of those sides. I'm glad I did get the Rams in early because they are now down to 1. So apologies if you didn't get to the window with them. We are going to take a quick break, but then when we come back, it's the steam game. Do we have a sandwich spot? Maybe the deli's back open. I know we're ending towards the end of the season, so maybe a trap situation. And of course, we have a special guest for TNA.
Get $25 in WagerBucks added to your account after your first purchase at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. This is just our way of saying thank you for joining the WagerTalk and Sports Memo family.
Did you know every Tuesday is $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk.com? We pick the hottest handicapper and offer his best bet for just $2. This is a great way to introduce yourself to the winning handicappers at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. Welcome back to Bet On It. It is time for your favorite segments. That's right. It is the Steam Game of the Week.
All right. I think I got something good for you. And good news just came in. Bellarmine, whoever they are, I don't know. They just covered for us in the morning. So go Bellarmine. Here's another steam play. Now, a lot of you missed that Bellarmine. I know the number on it, the plus 17 or whatever. Dude, I give them more than enough volume. If you miss a number, I don't want to hear about it. I have a ticket for I get even a better number than I release at. I know the market's going to move. I put stuff in from days in advance, weeks in advance. I have UFC months in advance. But sometimes, guys, things are going to come late or whatever, and some lines are going to move. If you miss it on to the next one. We give enough. And this one's still there. And for some reason, I'm surprised. It may even go higher, but I'll tell you what, it's definitely short money on the under, and that's Philadelphia against the Dallas Cowboys. And it makes a ton of sense to me because even though these teams look to have horrific defenses, they don't have the offenses you need to put up points. That's just the bottom line. We already saw this game. You look at the offensively, yards per point. Both teams, what a coincidence. In the bottom, 5 or 6 in the NFL? If you just can't move the football, you're not going to put up points. And I just don't think as much as I thought the addition of Hurts helps the offense, and we went with the over last week, again, that was first week with a new quarterback full time. Now, a little more tape, market reacts a little bit, baked into the cake. Remember, you can't always take advantage. There's times where you'll have the edge, jump in, get out. That was last week with a great opponent, Arizona. Dallas, not so much. Not going to go tit for tat with you. Completely different game. And it sounds like I always say, cliche, styles make fights, but they make games as well. Matchups matter. And I think this game's going to play out exactly like we saw before. Low scoring game, 49.5, based on the fact they put up some points of late. We touched on when we talked about the line move to the Eagles side. You have a Dallas team coming off 33-41. I don't think that's going to happen this week against the Eagles, and I don't think the Eagles will put up points under 49.5. Steam play of the week if you missed Bellarmine or whoever that was.
I did play that team a couple of weeks ago, and it was even hard for me. I had to go to Ken Palm and read about him before I could actually place a wager. Congrats on that early.
What state they're in?
No, I already forgot everything about them. I just feel like I cannot bet these teams without knowing a little bit of information, so I just went to Ken Palm. I know you can, and God bless, because it's just so hard for me with some of these little teeny tiny schools. All right, I just got word. It is the sandwich game. Santa, where are you eating your sandwich this week? The deli's back open.
Yes, and we got clearance from the governor of Nevada. It doesn't matter. I can go over the 25% because I'm Santa Claus. We were at capacity when I walked in the door, but we got clearance. So we can sit down and eat, Kelly, and we're going to eat with your team, the Denver Broncos. Uh-oh, look at that face I got from Kelly. She's scared. The Denver Broncos this week. You know, this one here, the two teams, they have nothing to play for. They're just playing for pride. But the Chargers did play a big game last week. They were on Thursday night, prime time, and they got to beat the Raiders, a division rival that was playing for their playoff lives. They got to play the role of spoiler. That was a very satisfying win for the Chargers. Now they're playing another division rival this week, Denver. So shouldn't they be up? No. What do they care? Denver's not going anywhere. Chargers aren't going anywhere. When you're not going anywhere, you want to be able to ruin somebody else's plans and vacation and knock them out of the playoffs. That's not the case here. But who do they got on deck next week, Kelly? Yes, the Chargers play the world champion, defending champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. And that is a division game, and they will be sky high for that game. This game doesn't matter. Now, let's look a little deeper into the X's and O's of the game. Well, the first X is Anthony Lynn. Let's just put a big X through him. Do you want to lay points with Anthony Lynn? Okay, I think not. I got better ways to blow money than to take the Chargers laying points with Anthony Lynn at calling the shots on the sideline. We also find, you always hear me talk about, give me the points with the better defense. Denver is the better defense. Now, I know everybody's going to run to the stats and say, but Marco, right now the Chargers actually are a tad higher than Denver with the stat numbers. Yeah, by a few points here they are, but that's at yards per play. Look at who Denver's played over the last month. In the last 4 games, they have played the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Bills. Those are 3 offensive juggernauts, so it's going to skew their numbers a little bit. And let's not forget all of the quarterback problems that Denver had, where, they were on the field for a short period of time and the defense was right back out there. Now they got Drew Lock back. He's had his moments this year that have been good, and he's had a lot of moments that have been bad. I get that. But I'm getting points with him, and I'm getting the defense. And then I'll throw 2 stats at you to wrap this up. Denver, the last 2 seasons, as bad as the Broncos have been, Kelly, following a loss of 14 points or more, they are a perfect 7-0 against the spread in their next game. And then we look at the Chargers over the last 2 seasons. Following a game where the Chargers gained 400 or more yards of offense, and we know that, with Anthony Lynn offense, when he's calling plays on the sideline, if they get over 400 yards, that's an accomplishment. They're 0-9 against the spread the following week. I'll take Denver plus the points. We'll call the outright upset. Little sprinkle from Santa, 24-20, Denver Broncos.
Marco, that is absolutely terrifying, but you're right. At 3 in the hook, it looks really enticing. All right, we have a special guest for TNA today. Ralph Michaels is on Christmas vacation. I'm very jealous. I want to go on a Christmas vacation. But that being said, Marco Claus, maybe we'll call him Stat Santa, is going to take over for some TNA. Who have you dug up for us this week, Stat Santa?
Yeah, Kelly, I won't say what you said earlier about Santa, but I am bringing the pen in honor of the stat man. Got the pen there. We got to have it be authentic. And you know what? Since we're talking about gifts and everything, before Santa gets to those gifts of stats that Stat Daddy sent him, I got a few gifts I'd like to give out to a few people, tell you what Santa Claus has brought some people. Kelly, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you haven't noticed the sarcasm there, you will in a second. Nick Mullins. Santa is bringing him a lump of coal. Who am I kidding? Santa knows Nick Mullins will probably just fumble that too. His turnover 7 in the last 2 weeks. You get a lump of coal, Nick Mullins. For the New York Jets head coach, Adam Gase, we got a present for you. We got you a book. It's called How to Tank for Dummies. Apparently you need help in that. Trevor Lawrence, number 1 pick. Everybody knows it. Santa brought you a present too. It was the New York Jets, 23, the LA Rams, 20. To the entire NFC East, you guys need one team with a winning record. That's Santa's gift. I don't think I can fulfill that wish this season. To the New York Giants, an offense. Well, that's going to be a tall order too, but we'll see if we can find you one. To my Pittsburgh Steelers, just in time for Christmas. How about a running game? And one of my favorite Pittsburgh Steeler players, Juju Smith-Schuster. Santa's got you dance lessons from Arthur Murray so you can improve your dumbass TikTok dances on the opposing team's logo before the games. Here's a thought. How about practicing your touchdown dance after the scoring a touchdown in the end zone? That might be a better dance. To Stat Daddy, Ralph Michaels. I got you a case of pens and a case of Miller Lite. We know you always have one of the two in your hands at all times. Almost done, just 2 more. To Kelly Stewart. Have you been naughty? Have you been nice? Well, Santa wants to bring you more primetime home dog winners. And to celebrate those correctly, you get a case of White Claws for every primetime home dog that wins. And last but not least, and Santa's kind of cruel with this one, to my good friend, Gianni Detroit. We got you the official game jersey from our buddy, Sam Darnold, from the New York Jets, the 23-20 game-winning jersey. Sorry, JD, might be too soon, but when you wear this jersey, it's like you'll feel like $1 million. That was Santa's lit.
I'm muted because I had to answer the door because the mailman rang the doorbell 18 times during the beginning of that segment. So I apologize. Sorry for being muted. Let me get some backstory on that jersey. Our good friend Gianni Detroit had the Los Angeles Rams last week in Survivor. I actually feel for him. That was gut-wrenching. That was disgusting. But Santa, Mrs. Claus actually texted me and said that she has a couple of things for you. She would like you to stop eating so many cookies and milk every single night before bed. And also she would like you to pick your socks up off the floor when you throw them right next to the laundry hamper. Come on, these are just really basic things that Mrs. Claus needs.
Okay, I'm going to have to deal with Mrs. Claus later. Let's get to some stats now, Kelly. And let's look here in our buddy Stat Daddy. He's talked about this one before, and it applies this week. And we've got, 2 teams that fit it. You pull an upset as an underdog of 6 points or more, Kelly, and then you're a dog the following week again of 6 points or more. Last week, Philadelphia was in that role and they lost. This week, we find two teams, the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. If you go against those teams in that situation, you would go 42-13 since 2010. That is a powerful stat from Stat Daddy. So play against the New York Jets and Cincinnati Bengals. Another one that Stat Daddy sent us was away teams off a home game and their opponent allowed 400 or more yards last game. This applies to Minnesota versus New Orleans, Miami versus the Raiders, and Denver versus the Chargers. Saints, Raiders, and Chargers all allowed 400-plus yards last week. This angle, 87-44 against the spread. So we're an away team off a home game, and their opponent allowed 400 yards or more last week. So you got three teams in that one this week. Good momentum versus bad momentum. And, that makes sense when you're at the end of the season where you got some teams driving and some teams not. Well, when the line is between the threes, +3 to -3, play on a team off a straight up and against the spread win versus a team off a straight up and against the spread loss. Sounds very simple. Well, it applies to Miami versus the Raiders, the Chargers versus Denver, but that one cancels itself out from the other stat that we just said, that Chargers-Denver one, Dallas versus Philly, and Seattle versus the Rams. If you follow this one, take the team with the momentum, 45-15 against the spread. That's a 75% winning angle. And the last one from Stat Daddy, Ron Rivera is facing his former team this week. Play the under if a team is off a road game on grass and had 4 or more sacks. Now, this one's a little obscure, but he dug deep in the database, and Carolina did sack Aaron Rodgers 5 times last week, putting them in the qualifier for this system. This system, the under, is 116-64. That is 64.4% to the under, taking that angle. So take the Carolina Panther-Washington game under the total. And that wraps it up from the pen, Stat Daddy.
Well, thank you, Marco Claus. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's time for Barking Dogs and Best Bets.
Gianni the Greek has never had a losing calendar year since joining WagerTalk and is #1 in total profit at WagerTalk for 2020, #1 this season in the NFL, #3 this season in college football, #2 this season in college basketball, and #2 this year in MMA. Right now, if you purchase 1 week of Gianni's picks, we will add an extra week for free, which is a $119 value.
All right, welcome back. Every week, we're looking for those underdogs that have a shot to win outright. VR, who have you dug up for us this week?
Yeah, I haven't bet this yet. Disclaimer, haven't released it yet, but I'm leaning strongly to this side. Excuse me. And with the line going higher, I could possibly get a better number if I get involved. And that's the Raiders, who are now at +3 even money. I see a lot of -3, -120s. That means 3.5 possibly next. And here's the bottom line, why I think there's some value in the Raiders. And again, I just haven't, I bet one underdog so far in the NFL, and I'll explain later why I haven't released that yet. But real quickly, I think the bottom line is this, and don't think I'm nuts. I just, on a neutral field, now, again, home field don't matter all that much. I don't think Miami's that much better than the Raiders. And here I am, who just said not long ago that the Raiders are below mediocre. Yeah, that's what I'm saying about Miami. That's correct. Because this team has, listen, if you look at them, they haven't given up points, but you could put up yardage on them. So a lot of times that's the product of luck. There's a lot of randomness involved, but in yards per point on the defensive side of the ball, they're right there ranked with Dallas, New England. I mean, they're 22nd in the NFL. And I think the Raiders are going to be able to move the football. And what we've seen from the Raiders is this. When games mattered, when they've given us 60 minutes of effort, they've been a live dog. I've said it throughout the year, and it's one of the things I really focus on in all sports, whether it's MMA or team sports. Which fighters and teams do I want to be backing as favorites, and which ones do I want to be backing as underdogs? And Raiders right now are one of those teams that I want to be backing as an underdog. I'm not going to lay points with a team like this, but they are capable of coming from behind. And again, 3 is a key number. It does matter. I like the Raiders here. They showed us in games against Kansas City where they showed effort. I think this team, if they do show up, they could give Miami a run for their money. And with Miami having covered 9 out of their last 10 games, again, we always say the most efficient market in sports, and it always corrects itself. But more importantly, when it starts costing the sports books money, that's when you start paying a premium. When no one's paying attention and no one's betting it, it doesn't matter. But when money's coming in Miami, you're seeing money has come in, you start to add that premium when their ATS margin is so above what the market expectation is. Give me the Raiders here. Haven't released as a premium yet. You could ask me on game day, I'll tell you. But right now, that's what I like as a dog.
All right, Marco, this barking dog of yours was so close to being my best bet. I'm excited for you to tell everybody who you think is going to win outright this week.
All right, Kelly, this one is not much of a stretch as far as a dog because by game time, they might not be a dog. But I was having trouble coming up with a dog, and this one was in the running for my best bet. But because they were a slight dog at the moment, I put them in this category, and that is the LA Rams. Now, everybody knows that was one of the most epic upsets of all time. 17-point home favorite last week. They lose to the Jets. Now, losing to the Jets last week, that doesn't mean that the Rams are all of a sudden a garbage team. They're not. They're still the same team that they've been all year. What it does mean is they looked past the New York Jets, plain and simple, last week. You look at that, they were coming off, and look at their schedule. 2 weeks ago, they played Arizona. That was a big game for the division. There was a log jam between the 3 teams in the NFC West, and they went to Arizona and got the win. They followed that up with a 4-day turnaround and played the New England Patriots at home on Thursday Night Football. Now, granted, the Patriots are not what they've been in the past, but it's still Bill Belichick. It was a primetime game. They were excited about playing that game. And let's not forget, oh, yeah, it was New England that beat them in the Super Bowl just a couple years ago. So they got a little measure of revenge. Then you have 10 days off in between games, and you're facing the Jets. That's as close to a vacation as you could possibly get from a mindset standpoint. You're looking at the Jets, who are winless. You look at the Jets, who are probably being clever by losing for Trevor, and you just looked right past them. And you know what? You got caught with your pants down. Now you're totally embarrassed. Now you got to play the biggest game of the season against Seattle. They were looking ahead to this game. They're going to come to play. And how many people are going to look and see? 2 weeks ago, Seattle just demolished the Jets 40-3 and say the Rams just lost to them and do that old ABC comparison. Yeah, we're not going to buy that. We're going to go ahead, take the Rams here. They get the job done. They have the better defense, and they're going to contain this Seattle offense that really, if you look at it, the beginning of the season, they were scoring points in bushels. They're not doing that anymore, with the exception of the 40 points that they had dropped on the Jets. They scored 20 last week against Washington. They scored 12 against the Giants in a loss 3 weeks ago. I'll go ahead. I'll take the Rams. Give me the better defense. We're catching a few points. We're not going to need them. They're going to get this game. And while they're still an underdog, I would highly recommend jumping on and getting the teasers with them and get them to the touchdown, 7.5 points, anything that you can getting them over those numbers. That's my barking dog.
Yeah, I'm with you, Marco. There's still some 1.5 South Point, Westgate, DraftKings, and William Hill. Everybody else is at 1 and headed towards a pick 'em. So if you can still get the Rams in a teaser, that's one of my favorite spots for a teaser position for this week. All right, as we wrap up towards the end of the show, that means it's time for best bets. Well, per usual, I'm going to go first. I need to close out this season a little bit stronger. Last year was so good on best bets. This year's been a fun roller coaster ride. We did get the cash with the Falcons, even though they tried to choke it away. Here's a team I don't think will choke it away. They've proven week after week they will play 4 quarters. The Houston Texans. I know it's rare I take a favorite, especially a favorite of this size. This one was 7.5, now up to 9. I think that we will see some Cincinnati money come in, but the books had to protect themselves in a teaser. And I don't think it matters if Brandon Allen comes back or if it's Ryan Finley. Now, I know on the Monday show, I said I can't back Ryan Finley. And he took advantage of a Steelers team who has just been on a downward spiral. I understand the Bengals can run against the Texans, but is Joe Mixon healthy enough to do so? He hasn't played since week 6. So whether he plays or not, we're going to find out. And let's just be honest, I want to take the better quarterback here in Deshaun Watson. They took the Colts to the wire. They had a chance to win that game last week. I understand that the Texans defense isn't what they once were, but I do think J.J. Watt could have a big game. And the Bengals really lack that pass protection for either Finley or Allen. I think this is too many points. I'm done talking because I see here in the notes, Marco Claus, and I have the same best bet. I guess I should have given out the Rams. It was a toss-up between the two. Marco, tell everybody else why you also like the Houston Texans this week.
Well, Kelly, you hit just all of the big points. And as far as Joe Mixon goes, he's not going to play. He's out. So don't worry about it. He can run on Houston. And as far as Cincinnati goes, let me throw out there, fat and sassy. Can you get any fatter and happier than beating the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football and doing your other team in the state of Ohio a big help by setting up that game at the final week of the season in Cleveland that could be for the division crown, take it away from the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens, who have had a stranglehold on the AFC North for the last decade. Cincinnati, short week, they got to go to Houston. And let's be honest. Yes, they beat the Steelers 27-17. They got 17 of those points off of turnovers with short fields, thanks to Ben and fumbles. The interception to Ben threw, I don't know what he was looking at on a couple of those throws. And then fumbles, the Steelers couldn't hold on to the ball. Juju Smith-Schuster got lit up. Right around, ironically, the logo at midfield when he caught that pass going over the middle. Hello, they said, welcome to Cincinnati, and he fumbled. The offense did nothing. Yeah, they had 152 yards rushing, 41 carries to get there. They were 7 of 13 passing the football, 78 yards passing in the game, and yet they won the game. That's not going to fly in Houston. Houston's coming off a tough loss last week. Yeah, they've got nothing to play for, but maybe they do. They do like Romeo Crennel down there, and he's been the interim head coach. This is an audition for him. I think they play hard for him. They do have a division game next week on deck against Tennessee. They'll definitely be motivated for that one, but they want to take care of business here. And they've played 3 of their last 4 games on the road. The last time they were at home, we all remember how that game ended. They were inside the 5-yard line, ready to upset the Indianapolis Colts, and they had a fumble out of the shotgun formation. Why they were in shotgun inside the 5, again, teams get too creative sometimes, and lost that game. I think they win this game, and I think they win it going away. How does Cincinnati trade points with Houston? Houston can run the football against them. Houston can throw the football against them. And the Houston offense has had no problems other than that game in Chicago where they only scored 7 points. You look at all of their other games the last 5 weeks, they're scoring in the 20s at least or more. We'll go ahead, take Houston, lay the points. Not often that we like to lay this kind of number, but Houston is the way to go here. I think this one is a bloodbath. I got Houston as my best bet.
Marco, I'm with you. I hope it's a bloodbath, just like we saw the Dallas Cowboys go in there and bludgeon the Cincinnati Bengals the week prior. VR, who is your best bet for NFL Week 16?
Damn it, now you guys both scare me, but I'm going to go with the total. I got the early, Friday game, Christmas Day, Saints, Minnesota. I bet the game under. I released it to subscribers already. It's a 4% play, under 51.5, a 52, I think. Still 51.5's out there. Surprisingly, it's moving down. Not surprisingly, because obviously it got steam, but rest assured, more than enough casual bettors will bet the over. I don't think it's a good bet. I think anything under, believe it or not, 48, 49 is plus EV at minus 110. And here's the reason. New Orleans did not want to score with Kansas City. They had no intentions of going score for score with Kansas City. They were just forced to. That's not the style New Orleans is playing this year. We know that. They're winning with defense. This team is not allowing points. They're not going out there and needing to score 40 and 50 points. It's just you played a Kansas City team, which is going to dictate the pace. And because New Orleans is capable, they were forced into that style of game. Minnesota's a completely different football team. They can't force New Orleans into anything. I think that New Orleans defense is going to clamp down on Minnesota. They're going to have problems scoring. That's why I already like the New Orleans side on the teaser. I even think at minus 6.5, I think is some plus EV there. I don't think you're going to get much from this Minnesota offense. I keep saying that. And with Breeze coming back, we saw last week, he's not 100%. I just think it's going to be a much lower scoring game than the total reflects. And when you look at how New Orleans played throughout this season, to me, it just makes sense. And again, the Minnesota Vikings, defensively, not a juggernaut, but they've had some decent games. I think they can show up here. Give me the under 51.5. Keep this a low scoring game.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it is our best bets for this first week of bowl games.
Marco D'Angelo is off and running once again this basketball season as his college basketball plays are winning at a 69% rate in the month of December. With NBA now underway, Marco is putting together a special all-access basketball package. Get all of his NBA and college basketball plays to the NBA Finals at a savings of $500. This package sells for $1,295, but this week only get all of Marco's basketball plays to the Finals for $795. That's a savings of $500 and comes out to less than $4 a day. This package includes his famous top-rated 5% plays. Since March 2019, Marco is #1 at WagerTalk with his 5% college basketball plays going 11-3. You'll never miss a play with an all-access subscription, but hurry, this special offer ends at midnight on New Year's Day.
We're going to keep the college best bets rolling and hope that none of these games, bowl games get canceled. As of now, they all look to be a go. So I'm going to go over to the Tuesday Cheez-It Bowl. I'm going to lay 2 with Oklahoma State over Miami, Florida. I actually was just looking at the WagerTalk odds screen. I think a ton of money is going to come in on Miami. So hang tight. I think we may get this one closer to a pick 'em. I think the bias here is the Big 12 is not good. You guys know that Miami is a ranked team. Now catching points, they have some sort of home field advantage because the game is in Florida. I actually think Oklahoma State wants to be here where Miami and Manny Diaz has this program moving in the right direction, but this is like some sort of what's a good word? Like a moral victory, right? Miami, when they started the season, had high hopes for this team, and they kind of just didn't exceed those expectations, especially after the Carolina game. I do think De'Aaron King is a great quarterback, but I do think Spencer Sanders is on that same level. Oklahoma State can run the ball, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to pound this ball against Miami, Florida all day long. So hang tight. See if we can't get a better number on Oklahoma State on Tuesday. Marco, I'm going to go to you first. Who is your best bet for this first week of college bowls?
Well, Kelly, when you look at bowl games and you look at this one on the surface, looks like a total mismatch. And we're going to look at the Louisiana Lafayette versus Texas San Antonio game. You got Lafayette's a 14-point favorite. And, oftentimes in the bowl games, you're trying to find the motivational factor. And I think that's going to be even bigger this year than in years past. Some teams want to be here. Some teams don't want to be here. One of the best angles in years past has been to look at the big dogs in the early bowl games. And the reason I say that is because the earlier bowl games, well, there's no polite way to say it. Those are the crappier bowl games, all right? And a lot of times when you get those big favorites in those games, yeah, on paper they look like mismatches, but those teams oftentimes had higher expectations going into the season and then ended up in a crappy bowl because they, didn't win their conference or ended up getting the second place, third place bowl game from, they have commitments with the conference affiliations. In this one, let's look at Louisiana Lafayette. They only have one loss on the season, so you would think they should be excited. But how can you be excited about going to this bowl game when you only have one loss? For them, last week, the Sun Belt Conference Championship game being canceled due to COVID with Coastal Carolina, that was deflating, in my opinion, to Louisiana Lafayette. They wanted their shot at Coastal Carolina. They wanted to win the Sun Belt Conference. And if you remember last week, we actually went with them against Coastal Carolina on the show because we didn't know the game was going to get canceled. That was a game they were pointing to and they were sky high for. I think this is a letdown for them to end up here. I am going to go with the scrappy dog that doesn't get to go to that many bowl games. This is going to be a treat for them, and they're going to show up and play. I think they stay within the 14 points in this game, and that is my call. Lafayette gets the win, 31-27, but give me all them points, and I'll take that live dog that should be motivated for this game.
I'm with you, Marco. Really disappointed that game got canceled last weekend. VR, who is your best bet for this week in college football?
It's tough. Guys that have been with me for a while know I love postseasons. I live for the playoffs. I feel more confident to make my bigger bets then. But this is a little unprecedented, this bowl season. That's why, even though all the lines are out, I've really only given out, I bet today's game, obviously, and one yesterday. But only 2 games that are ahead of us, where usually by this time, Kelly, I would have had 10, 12 plays in there because you got to get out ahead of the market. But I'm seeing all these betting syndicates. There's no need. They're not taking the risk of tying up their money in this COVID, type of year. There's more than enough public money and the limits are big enough that they could sit back and wait and gather more information. So I don't have all that much to share, and I gave Colorado out, but that line moved way too much. We took plus 13. I don't even think that's double digits anymore. The only other bet I made is Georgia minus 6.5. It's at 7 by the hook. I mean, I'm just used to doing it. It's old school thing. Probably don't have to. And the Georgia side made so much sense to me. When the group I work with bet them, I loved it. We know what Cincinnati's thinking. They deserve so much better. They're an undefeated team. Where they're placed, they should have a better bowl game. Be careful what you wish for, because now you're getting Georgia. And this is a really good Georgia team. We saw this Cincinnati team. Sure, they look great defensively all year. And yeah, they had that USC transfer quarterback. So they have a better offense than the rest of their conference. And that's why they look good and well above average. But what happened against Central Florida? Yeah, they won that game. But Central Florida hung up 30 plus on them. Why? Because Central Florida is a top 10 scoring offense. Well, Georgia's a top 30 scoring offense. And that's in the SEC. They've been able to do that. Georgia's going to put up their points on Cincinnati. I'm not all that sure Cincinnati's going to put up too many points on Georgia. Now, the question with Georgia is seniors opting out. players going to the draft that may not play. And because of that, this line may drop a little bit when that news comes out. I placed my bet because I think even if a few players do, the value's still there. Georgia's still loaded enough. Let's not forget, this is Kirby Smart's 5th year. This is his team now. He's not working with someone else's team. He handpicked all these players. Now, they may not have taken a step forward from last year, but this is definitely his squad. And I don't think they'll have any problem with someone else stepping in. They're going to have to do that in the fall anyway, 9 months from now. So I like Georgia in this spot, 6.5, 7. I don't tease college football. I think they win the game outright, though. I like Georgia. I think Cincinnati, who wanted a tougher bowl, be careful what you wish for. You're getting the Bulldogs in Georgia, I may add.
Yeah, that's the New Year's Day Bowl from VR. I'm going to go ahead and give out a later bowl as well, just because I know the line's going to move. It's already 7 minus 120. I like North Carolina. That is actually my best bet. For all of the bowls, I gave it out in the Las Vegas Review Journal, but I wanted to give out one for this week as well.
I love it.
So I'm with you, VR. 9.5, your Colorado bet from 13. That one definitely got steamed. We are going to take our last commercial break of the day. And when we come back, it is time for the recap.
Celebrate the holidays with your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper for less than $10 a day using coupon code HOHOHO when checking out with a 7-day all-access pass. This gives you immediate access to all of your capper selections, including any $40 5% best bets. There is no limit to the amount of handicappers at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. You can lock in for 7 days, but coupon code HOHOHO will expire at midnight on New Year's Day.
All right, last but not least, it is time to recap NFL Week 16. I know I say it every week. Put a big, pretty bow on it. Tie it up. It is Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year to everyone in the Wager Talk family. We will be back on Monday to talk about the Monday night game, but let's recap this week first. VR says on the primetime Christmas game, he leans towards the Saints. Marco's on the under. I don't like this at all. My guys are head-to-head on the primetime Saturday night game. VR likes the over. Marco likes the under, but we're all in alignment on the primetime Sunday game. VR says lay the 3.5 with the Packers. Marco says he's going to get a little crafty here. He's going to take the Packers in the first half, minus 2.5. We're also pretty much in alignment here on the teasers. Both guys like the Pittsburgh Steelers up to 8 in a teaser. Marco said he's going to pair them up with the Chicago Bears. VR says he's going to go square and just bring Buffalo down to 1. As far as the team game goes, these have been cashing like wildfire, so I'm on it under 49.5 in the Philadelphia-Dallas game. Marco says my Denver Broncos plus 3.5 is the sandwich game this week. I was hoping I could put that team into a teaser, but looks like I just have to take the 3.5. Marco's barking dog was in contention for both of our best bets. The LA Rams plus 1.5. This one's headed to probably a pick 'em, so jump on board now. VR said, hey, listen, we know there's all these bad things about the Raiders, but that's when you're laying points. This time the Raiders are getting 3 at home. I'm in agreement there. Marco and I both like the Houston Texans minus 7.5 as our best bets. This one has went to 9, but I think we're okay. The books were just trying to protect themselves in a teaser situation. Marco says this one could get ugly. And the under 51.5 on Christmas for VR in terms of a best bet. College football, I said take Oklahoma State, but pause just a little bit. This one might get a little bit of Miami money, and that's fine by me. I think Oklahoma State actually runs away with this one. I did also say that maybe take a look at North Carolina. It's not until the 2nd, but this one's going to hit 6.5, so get the 7 now while you can. Marco says UTSA plus 14 is too many points. And VR said, look, Colorado was it, but that one has moved almost 4 points. So take the Georgia Bulldogs again. We'll bring the guys back in. Marco Claus, I almost called you Stat Santa. Marco Claus, would you like to say anything to our viewers to close out the show?
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And from everybody at Wager Talk, this has been a trying year. There's no question about it. It sucked. But, sports has been there. It's been our release for everybody. And I want to just thank everybody for supporting the site. It's been a very good year. We brought you a lot of shows, and we're planning on bringing even more next year. We heard that, producer extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Ranieri. He actually doesn't need to sleep 8 hours a day. We're going to get a few more shows for him. So, check it out. Look forward to 2021.
All right, Santa, Merry Christmas, VR. Anything you'd like to say to our viewers in terms of a closeout for the show?
You're welcome. No, I'm just kidding.
I love you so much. Oh my God, I love you so much.
In all seriousness, I want to thank you guys because you know how I am. That's why, Kelly. The guys that hate right now, they are putting them thumbs down. Listen, I want to thank you guys so much for all your support for this show. Whether you agree with us or disagree with us on games, honestly, I enjoy doing this every single week. I look forward to it and seeing your guys' responses and replies, whether positive or negative, on social media. Like I say, I try to learn with every winning and losing bet. I hope I'm a little sharper this year than I was last year, and hopefully next year I'm a little sharper than I am this year. So along the way we make mistakes, but again, man, I love this community we've built, and without you guys, I couldn't do what I do. I wouldn't be able to do this. So it's all I thank you. I was joking when I said you're welcome. It's me truthfully thanking you for allowing me to do what I absolutely love to do. I'd be betting sports, but I am so passionate about the sports betting market and just sharing that with people that have that love for it as well. And like Marco said, it's been a tough year for us all, some more difficult than others. I pray to God or any deity, or whether you believe or not, that 2021 is better, as amazing for you as it possibly can. Stay safe. I hope well wishes for you, your family, prosperity, and the world to you all, man. I just hope people are happy. God bless. Stay safe.
All right, guys, from Marco, VR, and myself, again, Merry Christmas. We will see you guys on Monday to talk about Bills, Patriots. Until then, let's bet on it.